Welcome back, everybody, to the Freelance Network Podcast, a podcast by content creators for content creators. So now it's the year 2020, and you can see there's an actual microphone in the middle.
Yeah, Luke got that for Christmas, which I think is pretty cool.
Shout out to Eric and Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have we've had more mics, but this one's really professional.
Like these mics.
Yeah,
This is
stepping
a nice
it up.
one.
Yes, I like it a lot. So thank you, Mom and Dad. You guys are lit.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
new year,
so-
new decade.
Yeah, we're back.
Starting fresh.
And we're recording this episode at like the beginning of January.
We snuck on campus. It's not the new semester yet, even though we promised a new episode in the new semester. We're going to go a little earlier.
Yeah.
So hopefully this one's going to be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I couldn't think of a better guest to start off the year than one of my oldest friends, Jimmy. This is Jimmy Ward,
Hello.
everybody. Jimmy, why don't you tell the people what you do?
So currently I live in Los Angeles, and I am on the bottom of the chain for the Ellen Show. So I'm with the production team as a production assistant, and I pretty much do whatever the show needs me to do. So that's what I do now, but it is fun. I enjoy it.
All right, well, before we get into the Ellen Show, kind of on this podcast, we like to figure out like where you started, like how you got started in this stuff. So for you, when did you first start getting into like content creating or filmmaking?
So in 8th grade, our middle school that Luke was in my class as well had like a trial, I guess I would call it, of
Yeah, it was a trial.
like a film, TV, video class, which I took because I didn't want to do any of the electives that the middle school was offering. And I'm happy I did because that, when I went into that, I really didn't know anything about video. I didn't even know what a tripod was. I remember in the beginning, our first test was to like set up a tripod, and I was so freaking nervous. So I thought a tripod was a camera at first, to be honest, not realizing that it was the thing that holds it. So I started with, knowing nothing. I don't even really, just somehow, I remember at first, just not being good at it, and not know much about it whatsoever, but figured, like, if I'm in this class, I might as well attempt to, know some sort of stuff, at least know how to set up a tripod.
Which you know now.
Which I know now, I could do it pretty quick now.
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah. Now you know a
It would
ton of
help.
cameras.
I was scared, though, the first time we had to do that test. I was, like, really scared.
Well, I
We had
remember
to-
being scared.
We had
for
to do it
those
in front of
tests,
the
too.
whole class.
Oh, yeah.
And to be fair, it is pretty nerve-wracking to open up a tripod in front of people while they're watching
Yeah.
you. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It
even when you know
shouldn't
how to
be.
do it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I've opened them in front of professors and they're like, "Are you good? Like, do you know what you're doing?" I'm like, "I do. Just give me a second." So
Yeah, even cables. Like, I used to be really good at them, and then I just stopped for a while, and then I had to do it in front of one of my professors, and I, like, just blanked. It was so embarrassing, yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so from that class, at sophomore year, I feel like is when everybody realized you were gonna do it. Like, this was your career,
Yeah.
and there was a reason why. So why don't you tell us what happened sophomore year?
Yeah, so I guess freshman year, it was just normal videos, and then sophomore year, when Hurricane Sandy hit, I did a run-in video, I think at age 15, and it was the first time I made a video where I remember locking myself in the bedroom while I was editing it, and like said, okay, I'm gonna sit here and attempt to make this like as on point as possible, like editing it to the beat and filming it in a nice way, I guess, as the best way a 15-year-old could film themselves running in the cold, and it turned out well. And as Luke said, I guess that was like, it's kind of embarrassing, but yeah.
I mean, it's been a year
bring it
now.
up,
You
yeah,
should
yeah.
be able to talk about it.
Yeah, and but no, that definitely like opened my eyes to like what else was there. Because after that video, I wanted to bring awareness to the island, and I always hated like the media always showing such negative things, and everything was destroyed, and like, oh, how are we ever gonna get out of here? And I was like, oh Jesus, like it's not, it's bad, but we can all get through this, and as a 15-year-old, just trying to show that, and then I just uploaded it on YouTube, and like locally it did well, and It allowed me to like meet other people that were in like the state TV industry and like the local news and stuff like that. Yeah, so definitely opened my eyes to like what else is out there in that world. So yeah, it's been a long time since then though.
Well, that video I thought was really cool because like the place we grew up is like really strong with community.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I feel like your video is one of the reasons why it is, because like it showed that.
Yeah,
because like it's a video like taking place in Long Beach Island, and it's as simple as Jimmy running with a shirt that just says Hope in front of all the iconic buildings and businesses on the island. But I mean, I remember it was on the news. Like,
no, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, like, did you expect that?
No, not at all. Yeah, no, my mom was driving me around, and I would just stop, and like it was random. I just wanted to do it, and it allowed like the town, I think, to like see important things for our neighborhoods and stuff, and like buildings that were important, and businesses that are important to everyone around here. So it kind of, I think, reminded people of that. And at that time, Facebook was like, I think, like growing at a good rate. So by posting on YouTube and then to Facebook, you know, a lot of people were able to watch it. But yeah, it's interesting to see, like, because after that storm, our community like really wrapped together, and so many people that I would have never met, and you probably would have never met. Like suddenly, everyone sort of knew each other, and it became a much smaller place than it already was.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm assuming that was like the point where you're like, hey, like I could do this for a living, or was there another defining moment that was like, I'm gonna go to college for this? What did you do?
I would say that definitely, like I said, that definitely like allowed me to see what else was out there. And yeah, like it opened a lot of doors. Yeah, it opened a lot of doors. And it also allowed, I think what else was important about that, it allowed me to become more involved with other things in the community. So besides just video stuff, it allowed, you know, other events that were happening for charity and stuff. To like work with them and do like videos for them. So then with my haunted house, like having that become involved with things, and definitely just would go to random events throughout New Jersey, not getting paid to do any of it, and just kind of film things and like make highlight videos off of it. And you know that you gain exposure for, and you meet connections throughout the state of New Jersey. And yeah, it definitely helped grow. But it got to a point where I wanted to go elsewhere, to warmer weather.
Yeah.
So speaking of that.
So I'm assuming that's what led you to your college choice, correct?
Yeah. Junior year, that's when I realized I wanted to go to California. I would spend like, I think junior and senior year, I never ate lunch in the cafeteria at the high school. Every single day, I spent it in the studio by myself, looking at schools and making projects, like working on things. But junior year was definitely spent every lunch like looking at schools in California. And then I just saved up and bought a flight for my dad and I, and told him that we were going to look at schools. And I didn't find any on my first trip. Went on another trip, brought my mom, and then found San Francisco, which is like a love-hate relationship to that city. But I'm happy I did it. I think everything like, you know, I think happens for a reason. And I'm happy where I am now. And if I didn't go there, I who knows where I'd be. So.
Well, let's talk about San Francisco State a little bit. Like, so, like, what did you do there, like, in your experience? Because, like, we've had people who went to Stockton, Rowan, but, like West Coast school we haven't had. So, like...
Yeah, it was hard at first. When you move that far away and you're from, like, a tight community and you're close with your family, and no one in your family or friend group is even close to being that far away. At first, I was extremely homesick and did not like it whatsoever in the beginning. And it was hard, just a totally different life. Just the trees are different, the color of all the homes, everything's just different. So, like, it was weird adjusting to that and adjusting to living in, like, a city environment. But with that, even at first, when I first went there, I wasn't sold on going to school for film. To this day, I'm still not sold completely. It's grown on me since my loans are kicking in. I have to, appreciate it. But I would, as of state, I don't know. And my girlfriend off to the side that no one could see is smiling too. We both went there, and we both have the same relationship with the school. But it's what you make it. Mm-hmm. And that school, I loved all the people I met. I became really close with a lot of camera people in that school and kind of fell into that department. And all my professors were amazing. But it's a small city. And that's, as a state, specifically focuses more on documentaries and like abstract films and stuff, and I was never really into that too much. So the classes itself, I would give like a B. Right?
For getting a Jimmy Award score
rating. But the people there are unbelievably creative. Probably, some of the most creative people I've ever worked with are from San Francisco and come up with the most insane ideas that are just like super out there but really cool and different than the normal things you see elsewhere. So that's fine. I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that.
The only other thing I'm going to ask about there is I want to talk about your thesis project.
Yeah.
Because that kind of ties together everything you did, starting with like charity work and tying a cause to things.
Yeah.
As well as your schooling. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. So like at SF State in San Francisco, you apply to get into a thesis class, and there's a hell of a lot of film students at SF State. It's like they're everywhere. So it's competitive to get into, and you apply, and once you're in, you pitch an idea and stuff. And I had this idea with me for a while. I used to work with one of my teachers, Mrs. Rainey, a lot with charities while she was still around, and she just was like one of the most she just was amazing. Like everything about her was just awesome, and she's always smiling. She had like the biggest smile. Like she's always smiling, and she would work with us in like random show opens for the morning news that we would do, and she was down for anything, and she had a good sense of humor. So once she ended up unfortunately passing away to cancer, and I wanted to create something that was like told one of her stories. Just while she was sick, she would blog all the time, and was like very honest with everything. And so I basically just saw one of her blogs that I remember stood out to me, and basically just tried to visualize it, the best I could. And we had like a really great team. But with SF State, I also wanted to film it in New Jersey, but there wasn't like that much like oomph behind that idea from anyone, really. And it was hard because I really, really, really wanted to film that in New Jersey and not San Francisco. But financially, I had to think about that, and that's hard, and equipment and crew and everything. But it worked. But yeah, when I pitched that idea, it was not really quiet and awkward in like a room of maybe 50 people that I wanted to film it in New Jersey. No one really believed it, I guess. I don't even know. No one thought I would actually go.
Sleeping on New Jersey.
So then I decided, I was like, hell, I'm just going to go. And I contacted like Luke and a whole bunch of other people that we worked with that I knew we'd all work well together as a team to pull it off. And I think we did it in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, but we were so determined. I was so exhausted. After we shot the whole movie, I left the whole hard drive sitting outside in a backpack in like 15-degree weather, and like I ran back to the Tucker and Seaport where we filmed at, but just was so exhausted. I did not realize I just like left my whole project sitting outside in the freezing cold.
Well, to put it in perspective for people, it was like we started at 7 a.m. on Saturday. Like, you flew in Thursday.
Yeah,
a bunch of us were in your living room, like, in a circle talking about, like, all right, we have 2 days to film this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then it went from Thursday planning, Friday, like, chill a little, and then Saturday, Sunday was filming the whole time.
Yeah, and, like, it was chaotic. Like, it was stressful. My girlfriend, who was AD, was stressed and tired, and as we all were. And then my friend Trevor flew out from Los Angeles to work on it. First time in New Jersey.
Yeah, we showed him around.
Yeah, he loved it. But no, it was really fun, and but definitely challenging, and smooth. But could have gone smoother with more planning. But
well, part of the thesis is it's a learning
project.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It was fun though.
Oh, so much
I enjoyed
fun.
it. But returning the cameras in New York was crazy. Like, it was just crazy. It was exhausting. I don't even know how I opened my eyes after the end of it. I was so tired.
I mean, you pulled a whole production off in 2 days, which is not
and
heard
the movie
of.
has flaws. It has flaws in it. But it looks cool, and the story, has its strong points and its weak points.
And there's a really important message in it.
Yeah,
too.
and that's the thing.
A lot of student filmmakers, I feel like, don't get that concept, which is something you always have, which I thought was really cool. Even from 8th grade, it was just like when you made something, like you knew what you were doing with it. It was cool.
Thank you. Yeah, with that one, I just really wanted to capture where it took place, and obviously have a bigger budget, like Spike Lee believes in filming in New York, specifically Brooklyn, all the time and stuff, and he obviously has the budget to film wherever he wants. But where you film it is important, because to the people that that message really relates to, they're gonna like it that much better and appreciate that, and not feel like you took an idea and ran off somewhere else with it. So coming here was just had to. I don't think it would have felt wrong had it been filmed anywhere else. Even as a student, you don't have much money, you should do what's best financially, but that was something I was no, it just has to be here, and it'll bother me if it's in California and I'm trying to make it look like New Jersey, and for everyone involved, it's important that it was shot here. And it was cool. I think the thesis film is supposed to be something you should remember, because it's your last big thing before you go out into the big world. So kind of coming back here where I had so many great memories, I think was also kind of why I wanted to do it too. So yeah, fun.
I mean, I want to ask you more about after school. You live in LA now. What has your journey been like since you got out of school? How do you navigate into this career after just being let out of a school? Because I don't think anybody here has figured that one out. So
I know it's scary. When I graduated school on May 28th, we moved out of San Francisco on May 29th. Because I wanted to get out of San Francisco really quickly. It's so expensive. I lived there. I was ready to move on. And I've been wanting to live in LA for so long. So long. Just since 8th grade, which is not that long. But to me, it's felt like years. So May 29th at 6 a.m., moved out of the apartment completely last minute. We were just shoving stuff in our cars, left behind furniture that wouldn't fit, and got down to LA, and with no job. My girlfriend, as we were driving to LA in a different car, she pulled over and got offered a job at CBS, or an interview, which then led to the job at CBS on The Talk. And then I went to LA with no job, was extremely nervous, and was scared. We were crashing at her mom's place, which she lives in LA, which was nice for for 2 weeks we lived at her mom's. So rent free for 2 weeks. So the first day I got to LA, I went to a library in West Hollywood, which is an hour away just of traffic, and said I was going to sit here every single day until I find a job, because it has a big glass window that stares at Hollywood, and it's pretty to look at, and it'll motivate me to just stare at this all day. And 2 days later, I just sat there all day. My butt was sweating in the chair. It was hot out. and I got hungry, so I walked to the grocery store, and then I got a call from a producer at a Fox game show, and accepted it like right away because I needed a job, and it was a big company name to put on a resume. So that show lasted, I think, for 13 weeks. And then as that was ending, I was again nervous because there was no job, and give it the freelance network, you freelance, so you are constantly looking for jobs. And I would drive my girlfriend crazy because she got this nice full-time job the day after graduation. Like, she has nothing to worry about, and I'm stressed. And then we signed an apartment, so now we're paying rent. And I'm, constantly, reaching out to people that I've worked with in the past, seeing if there's any way to get on something. And someone I met on that show brought me onto Top Chef. So that ended on a Friday. That Top Chef started on a Monday, and it was, smooth sailing. And then that whole season, I left about a week early from that show to join my job now. It was scary. It's just, it's hard. And it just, it takes, a lot of just, I'm going to sit here and, work on something. I reached out to so many, I emailed so many random, I texted a producer, the second AD for, I won't name it, but this major movie, and he wrote me a really not so friendly text message back, and I had never really met him before, so I was texting random people. Yeah, it was really scary.
Yeah.
But here we are. So.
Yeah. Well, then how did Ellen come about?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I was on Top Chef, and I've always been a huge Ellen fan. Since I was little, and we were on a remote shoot somewhere in downtown LA, and I got a call, which I ignored because I was working. That's what you're supposed to do. And then I on your iPhone, you could see what the voicemail says, and it said Ellen DeGeneres Show, and I almost shit my pants. Those pants I probably can't wear anymore because I just couldn't believe it. It was insane. And we were in the middle of a huge shoot for Top Chef, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? I have to go call them back. They may be calling somebody else right now. So I ran to the parking garage, got a Sharpie, called them back, and started making notes in the parking garage of when I was on the phone, oh, start this day, come in here. I was like, yeah. I have it written down on my notepad. And then I went in for an interview the next day, started day playing the following week, day by day. So each day they hire you, which is really scary because you want it so bad. And at the end of the day, you hope that they like you. So I got brought back for a week and a half straight, and then at the end of that, they asked if I wanted to stay. I was
Big relief.
Yeah, and it's been amazing. Yeah, it's been cool, and it's nice because it's rare that shows are full time, which it's a nice relief to not, for the time being, not have to worry about another finding your next show or movie or something. So yeah, it's fun.
That's such a you story of getting a job too.
Yeah.
You're on one job that's already awesome, Top Chef, and you get a call about Ellen, and you're just I thought Top Chef was great. Dream job.
I know, because Ellen's people's end goal. They're this is what I want to do, and that's awesome. And also, I have a question, kind of going off of the production assistant route. So Luke and I did this production assistant boot camp thing.
Oh, he told me about it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the end of it. I heard when you were going. I don't know how it ended up.
We will tell you about that later. But because you said day playing, and that hit my fight or flight. Did you have any experience with production assisting, or did you just go in and figure it out?
Yeah, my first thing was sophomore year of college, I think, towards the end of sophomore year. I PA'd on a thesis film from my school, and I was so nervous, and I didn't even know what a PA was. And I walked in, and they're hi, who are you? And I blanked on what I was. I couldn't even remember the word PA. I was walking there, remember PA. And then I got there and completely blanked, and I completely forgot what I was even there for. And So then I worked on that, and that was my first time on like a big set. The first student film, that was quite large, that one. And yeah, I just kind of figured it out. And then I wanted to start working on other, because you watch TV and you see all these credits in their name, and all these names in the credits, and you're like, okay, well, these are all jobs and people. Like, someone is this. Like, John Smith is working on this movie. Like, how did he get this job? I don't know, a lot of times I still don't know how people get those jobs. But I flew to Washington State and told HGTV that I was local for the time being in Washington, which I was not, and took the hit of losing out on my flight. I stayed on an Airbnb, and just randomly, it was my first PA gig that I got paid for. It was House Hunters. But yeah, I flew to Washington, like, had no idea what the hell I was doing, and stayed at some random woman's house in the middle of nowhere, Washington State, like nowhere, Washington. And and then 3 days later, that show, that was amazing, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then flew back, which they thought I was staying there longer, but I wasn't. I just needed a kid. And I went there because I knew there's no competition. Mm-hmm. Starting in San Francisco as a no one, it's a small city, but it's still really hard to even get into. LA is like a whole nother beast. So I was like, okay, well, how can you start nowhere without anything and try to get anything else? Like, you go to the middle of nowhere where there's no other competition, and you could be good at it. Like, you can figure it out. Like, and went there and applied, and again, no one else probably applied, so I got it, which I was so excited for. And then I wanted to do that because if you go out there and you get something, then people will start taking you serious, and you're like, okay, they have that. You don't have to tell them it was in Washington. No one has to know it was in the middle of nowhere, but it was still a big show. And then I knew that whole crew is based in LA, so by them being based in LA, when you're back in California, I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I actually live in California now, too. Like, totally. So then I got onto other HGTV shoots, which led to, like, CNBC, CNN, and just random shows, all because of flying to Washington. So if I didn't fly to Washington, I probably would have a really hard time starting in San Francisco. But by starting out there, when I got to San Francisco, I was able to snap right into it a lot faster than I thought it would.
That's awesome. Yeah, because when we were at this boot camp, they made it sound like, you mess up once and you're just done for the rest of your life. You're blacklisted, whatever. So
yeah, it's true in some ways. Like, if you mess up on a Steven Spielberg movie, forget it. You are done.
Yeah.
Maybe you can work, on I don't even know. Probably nothing. Yeah, but it's so big, but it's also really well connected. And Mira would say that too. We've met people on the most random shows from across the country, and somehow when you search them on Facebook to see who you're gonna work with, you see 2 mutual friends, and or you get there, and Mira and I worked with someone, and then Mira ended up working with someone that we realized we had worked with their ex-boyfriend or girlfriend on another show, and we're like, well, it's scary. It's big, but it's also really small. And on Ellen, people I work with some are from, there's a lot of people from New Jersey somehow, and you realize that you start to know other people that you've worked with. So yeah, it definitely is to be careful. Just in the TV film world, there's I've really come to realize there's just no room to mess up, because it's just, there's so much money on the line that it's scary that getting a cup of coffee, gotta be a good coffee getter, starting at that, you realize you really have to not mess up that coffee, because that coffee is going to a very important person that knows a lot of powerful people, and you're on the bottom of it and just please take it. That's right. So yeah, I hope that even answered the question.
Yeah, no, it's nerve-wracking, and I don't think because New Jersey's not really like a film-centric place to be, or TV-centric at all. Like, you have to go to New York or you're going to Philly or whatever, and we don't really have that much of a direction when we get out of college. It's like, what do we do? And everyone's just kind of like, I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah. And no, it's true. Like, when we graduate SF State, like, got our diploma. I didn't even get the diploma.
Yeah, no.
Mailed months later.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that. I got an empty thing.
The most like unmotivating thing you can imagine after you spend all that money. You open it, it's not even in there. But yeah, we graduated and just walked out, and I guess like some schools like hold your hand more, but my school, did not. They don't hold your hand, but they make it known. SF State makes it known that it's hard out there. And you just gotta go. I don't even know. It's hard. Like, sometimes I still scratch my head, like how. Yeah, and it's also just being a nice person. Like, you both have super nice personalities, and that's literally, like, I'd say, like, the most important thing. It's like, because there's people that we've worked with in past shows, and you're just like, they're not really nice, and you could see it. Like, the crew will realize it. And then the next shoot, they won't be there anymore, and someone else that's just like a nice person to be around. These shows last like 12 hours a day, a minimum. So like you want to be surrounded by nice people, and you may like the longest I think I went was like 14 days straight of just like 14-hour days. And you want to be with nice people,
Exactly, yeah.
You're spending so much time with them.
Yeah, absolutely. But so you want me to ask?
One more thing.
Okay, yeah.
So now we know what you're doing now and what you've done. I've known you for a while, and I feel like I might know the answer to this, but also it's like an ever-changing. Don't be nervous.
Yeah.
It's like an ever-changing question
to
answer. But where do you want to be with all of this at the end of the day? Like, obviously, you're never going to be content because I know you, and you're never content with one thing. So, like, if there was like one job you could be doing, like, what do you want to do?
As most people would say, I don't know yet, but I'll kind of answer. I'll start off with I don't know so I can think.
Stall as much as you
like
can.
just being able to walk. Like I remember I used to stare at Warner Brothers all the time. When I would try to drive past it just so I could like look at it without crashing, and like wanted to be in there so bad, and like being on the tours. So I had my first like Warner Brothers tour when I was like 16, 17, and like was just like thought it was the coolest thing. And so like right now I'm pretty I'm happy. It's like
it's where you go to work every day.
Yeah, like walking on there, I like, and now being on there, like you see what people do, and so I'm still trying to figure out. I'd like to like the end goal is like to direct and stuff like that, and as everyone wants to do. But I guess if you work really hard, anyone could get there. So like that is like the far out goal. But yeah, being with the production team and helping the show come about. But yeah, right now I'm happy, and since moving to LA, which I sometimes still can't believe. Like I look at palm trees and I'm just like, what? Like I even hugged one once, and like my finger got all like infected and like got all poofy and stuff, and like just being there is like in itself like I still get shocked. Like waking up and like every day I strive on our apartment. You can see the UD of the Hollywood sign. Not wood yet. Hopefully in a couple of years. But like every day I wake up and I try to look at the Hollywood sign. And if I miss it sometimes, like when it's going down the stairs, you gotta like go this way and like turn your head a certain way. You can see it. So every day I walk down the stairs, I try to look at that, and I'll back up if I miss it and walk too fast, and like stare at it and try to like have a goal, like when you look at that, because it is it's a city that anything can happen in, and there's so much competition and so many other amazing like creative people that hopefully by staring at the Hollywood sign every day, it'll like remind me to like work hard and get to that goal. So then hopefully we can move up from the bottom of the chain. But yeah, even like when you leave school, like when everyone graduates, just having that like mindset of just like someone does it, and like so that means that anyone can do it. Like if you just work really, really, really freaking hard to get there, you could do it because someone has to fill that role. And then when you get in there, you realize that, like, it's like, oh, you're here, and like, everyone's so nice, and like, you're like, why was that so challenging? I don't know. Yeah, it's a tricky field, for sure.
Well, now I know not to hug palm trees because I definitely would have gone to LA.
That's what I got out of that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's fascinating because I probably would have
I'm
and hugged.
still in awe when I see a palm tree. Like,
Yeah,
trees
no.
lined with palm trees, like.
When we went there for spring break, I was the same way. I was just like looking up, like, they're real.
Right? You like people from New Jersey, palm trees like is exotic vacation tree.
Yeah.
That you only see when you're on vacation. But yeah, don't hug them. This finger just was like.
If you take anything from this podcast, just don't hug palm trees.
Yeah, it's like
everybody.
the size. My finger went to like the size of the microphone. Like, it just became so large and disgusting.
Yeah. So something new that we want to do is from our Q&A episodes in the past. Since we have lovely brains on every episode, it'd be fun to ask them one. So, Cassie, why don't you read the question?
Yeah. So we want to ask you: do you find that the desire to be perfect hinders your ability to create, and how do you handle it?
Yeah. So I was thinking of that. I think you just have to make stuff without, like, I've made really awful things and I've had, like, I don't know, mean comments from them, or like people say it's terrible, and it's like, so I don't think, you can ever make anything. I mean, if it's perfect to you, I think that's really all that matters. And I'll make something, and if someone comments, or just, I don't know, makes a rude comment, like, that's not amazing, or they don't like the story, or they're confused, or they're just, I don't know, people get angry, like on YouTube when they like dislike something. I'm like, why do you have to do that? Because if you put a lot of effort into something, I think that's as perfect as you can make it. And I know I'll make things where people, or I even think it's bad, But like you have to make really bad things to like make good things, And I don't think anyone will ever make like an amazing thing, because there always will be people that don't like it, or even Steven Spielberg will make a movie and people will just hate on it and say it's terrible, in some aspects. So it's hard. I don't think it'll ever be perfect, because no one will ever agree that a movie is perfect. I think this is like the one industry where like people are very like will critique the hell out of things, like about, like, you can make an amazing movie and there'll be a group of people that are so sour towards it over, I don't know, the lighting was wrong, or they didn't like the line, I don't know, the
small
and you're like, if you just put a lot of effort into it, it doesn't matter. And even my thesis, like, I like it, but it has flaws, and but to me, it's nice. It's perfect in my mind, with having major flaws, and but it's as perfect as I could make it. And I, like that film specifically, I couldn't really have made it any, I don't know, different. It's like I put so much effort into it, and that's how it came out. And even with other things, same, you're the same boat. Like,
well, I think there's a point in time where you literally have to stop working on something.
Yeah, and
it's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And like, even though you can look at your thesis and see flaws, I do the same with mine. The next thing we make, hopefully we get better at those things we thought.
You work on that.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Clint Eastwood is like old and still making things.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's taken his whole life to like, make better and better, and maybe not so better films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. I think this industry, no one can be perfect, because there's always someone like out there, making something else that's really good and will compete with yours, or just people don't like it.
Yeah. And something that stood out to me that you said was when you have to make really bad projects sometimes.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy and I made many a video in high school with our lovely group of friends.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and they're bad.
They're legitimately bad videos.
But by making those just awful movies, which at the time, like, they're good.
Yeah.
For like however old we were, you then you learn from that, and it just, like, I think everyone should be able to make as much things as possible. You should film.
That's where we learned so many things. You know? Like we figured out what a tripod was. And
exactly.
How to operate a camera, and we eventually incorporated lighting. Not most of the time. Sorry, Miss Lucas.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do audio. Like.
And like watching like an old a video I made in high school. Like now it's awful and stuff. And or if you show someone that's not really involved with TV, they may see it as like, oh, like, you know, they're used to watching movies. So like you make a really low budget movie that for maybe a low budget, it's, you know, it's not too bad, but it might not be good in other people's eyes. So whatever, just make what you want.
So it doesn't hinder you. You just keep going.
No, I know everything. If I made something, I know it will have flaws in it. I just know it. I go in knowing it. You know, I go in thinking this is gonna be the best thing I've ever made, and then you run into an issue that you always run into. So no, you should just create knowing that it'll be your best work, and just believe it is, right? You should just always think it's the best, but it can be improved and keep getting better and better.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Jimmy, before we go, I want you to look at that camera right there and tell all the lovely viewers where they can find you and your videos.
Well, I won't send them to my YouTube channel.
Oh, no, send them to the YouTube channel.
But if you watch NBC, you will hopefully see my cheese puffs that I've brought in the past on the Ellen Show, or any random thing, or a game. I test the games on the Ellen Show before celebrities, you know, possibly get hurt in them. So that's my job. So yeah. Watch that.
Send them to the YouTube page.
Or you can YouTube Chance Encounter, and then maybe type in my name after that. But maybe stay away from the older videos that have been on there.
Just make sure to watch the one where I play Jimmy.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one. Is that on mine or yours?
That's on yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't go on my channel very often. But yeah.
And plug your Instagram too.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Ward 99.
Cool.
Jimmy Ward 99.
All right, Jimmy. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
You were one of the first people I texted. I was like, "Hey, I have a podcast." You were like, "Oh my God, yes!" Like,
I know,
so
it's exciting. No, it's cool. And I was even telling Mira, like, more people should create things. People do create things. But no, I think like having like a platform where people from like all different backgrounds, like, because like the creative field is so big in the film, TV world is so big, and there's so many different jobs that, you know, you can have a carpenter in here that works on things, you know. There's so many cool jobs out there.
Yeah. But thank you for being here, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody make sure to check him out and watch Ellen. He might be there at some point.
Or his
cheese puffs.
Or my cheese puffs.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching or listening, and we'll see you soon.